What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Jeremy Tyler for the $10 donation via the PayPal. Much respect to you for showing love to Too Raw for TV. And he had a question. His question was, how good would Gary Payton be in today's NBA? Well, of course, Gary Payton is generally considered the greatest defensive guard in NBA history. I believe he's one of, 4 or 5 guards to win Defensive Player of the Year. Gary Payton, Alvin Robertson, Michael Jordan, and I think Sidney Moncrief. And I think that's it. Someone can point out if I'm forgetting somebody. But it's very rare for a guard to win that award, just because of the fact that historically, big men, because of their size and because of how much they can dominate the floor, you know what I'm saying? Because just being bigger and especially as these players have become more agile, a lot of times, they just have an inside advantage. They just have a tremendous advantage as far as winning that award. But anyway, Gary Payton today. Well, because there have been so many rules that have been implemented to take away the effectiveness of defense today, I don't know if he would be as defensively dominant as he was in his prime, as stifling, because you can't be as physical. But I do think he would still be considered the best defensive guard in the NBA. I just don't think that he would be as stifling because, you can't be physical with people. You can't put your hands on them. For some reason, when I think of him today, right, I tend to think of like Drew Holiday on steroids, right? Minus the three-point shooting and combining him with a young Rondo, minus the offensive rebounding ability. And then ratcheting that up, plus like God tier trash talking. And a post-up game. Although in today's NBA, they really don't do that anymore. So I tend to think like he would still be amongst the best players in the league, right? Because when he played, I guess you would say, where would you rank Gary Payton in his peak, right? Because his peak lasted quite a bit, like 94 to 2004 or 94 to 2003, right? And during that time period, he was never considered the best player in the NBA. As far as ranking him among point guards, I would say 94, 93, 94. The best point guard in the NBA, you could argue, was Kevin Johnson briefly. Then maybe 95, 96, 97. Maybe you could say it was Gary Payton. Now that I think about it, Magic wasn't in the league anymore. I'm trying to am I forgetting somebody? Tim Hardaway was there, but Um, Ross Strickland, Kenny Anderson, um, Jason Kidd. Well, you do have Penny Hardaway. So Penny Hardaway might be ahead of him overall. 96, 95, 96, 97. But I would say like from 97 onward until 03, you could make an argument that Gary Payton was the best point guard in the NBA. Would Gary Payton be the best point guard in the NBA today? Well, we have so many point guards today. He wouldn't be the best offensive player, um, because he's not what you would call an abundant scorer. Although if he was averaging 20 points a game back then, peak 24, then even though he's not a great three-point shooter, I could still see him shooting about 33, 34% from outside, maybe 35%. So he wouldn't be the greatest three-point shooter, but I could see him knocking him down on occasion. More of a runner, floater. Uh, Gary Payton got a lot of his points in transition. Gary Payton was the king of the lobs to Sean Kemp and all those type of dudes. So he would be dangerous in the open court as well. I can still see Gary Payton putting up 25 points a night in this era, as easy as to score. I can still see him putting up 25 points. I can still see him, being a terror on defense. I can still see him averaging around 9 to 10 assists in this era. I think he would still be superb. I still think he'd be amongst the best players in the NBA. And if you're talking from a quote unquote two-way guard position, as they put it today, I think you could argue he would be the best point guard if you're looking at it from that perspective. You gotta think about it, man. Gary Payton is the only guy I've ever seen really get the better consistently of Michael Jordan in the playoff series. He's the only guy I've really seen do that. Rashawn Leonard had some success against Jordan in '97 Eastern Conference Finals, but as far as the series is concerned, outside of like one or two games, Gary Payton really gave Mike problems. Gary Payton was also the ultimate trash talker. And I think, like, people think that Draymond Green gets under people's skin. I think I think Gary Payton in today's NBA had these dudes. They have these dudes going to therapy, man. It would be child's play. So, yeah, I don't think he would be posting up because of the way the game is played today. But I can still see him figuring out a way to still score 20, 25 points. I can still see that. If it's a really good team he's playing on, then I would say 20 points. He'll make others around him better. 20 to 25 points, depending on how good the team is. But anyway, it's just my take, man. I think Gary Payton, greatness transcends time to me, man. You make adjustments, but a great player is still going to figure out a way to be great. I do think, like a Luka Doncic, that you team Gary up with some athletic bigs to get the best out of him. Because, we saw how great he was with Sean Kemp. And the minute Sean Kemp left the Sonics in that trade, Sean Kemp just lost his way. But Gary Payton made a lot of those dudes' jobs easier. Sean Kemp, I'm not saying Sean Kemp didn't make Gary Payton's job easier too, but, guys like Alfonso Ellis, Not Alfonso. That's what I'm talking about. That's the Nuggets. Guys like um, 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 man, what's his name? Hershey Hawkins. Um, that last shrimp. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.
Real.